this is where big question marks are everywhere. Who's gonna end this day inside the top 10? Who's gonna really fight and hurdle their way up thousands of dollars into more prizing?
I think one of the most interesting things to see, as we do have a north to south bus pass, so keep an eye on what happens in Sleepy Sound here. When we look at the leaderboard and we look at the deltas on the left-hand side where it shows how people are changing, the top three, they've just had a line next to it all day, whereas it's like, hey, this is the spot you bet in. Everyone else has had like +9, +12 up on the top of the page. But right now, Cody G and Slacks, hey, the shoe is on the other foot. Finally, they're able to throw some shots down on somebody gliding.
Yes, they got the bus on their side, and that's hide and seek Nets who land on that south side of Sleepy Sound, a team that, again, had an exceptional day one, kicked off a little slow, slipped back, but then jumped right back into that conversation, netting themselves on into that top 10, now holding a top 7 spot currently as we enter into this game right now. For Pamsu and Fatch, we know that they have this very odd drop spot that they've managed to work out here. Honestly, playing with very little, so man, if you want to learn how to play off a scrappy drop, this is the team you need to watch right here.
I absolutely love this split. It's one of my favorite ones on the outside of the map, again, as somebody who plays very much to not fight people, because honestly, every single person in Arena is just infinitely better than me at this point now. I mean, you're able to make it work then, especially when you can hit those shots and you can pressure. As they have seen, they're able to get the ball rolling. But speaking of getting the ball rolling, Rocade and Joji, they find a pair right away.
That's what's Glace. That's a big one. Remember, Glace was just here not too long ago, so Rocade and Joji look inwards and get shots from way off in the distance. So that's actually a huge setback for Trash here.
Well, that's that north to south bus pass that we talk about, how we haven't necessarily had a ton of them, but it impacts these teams and what you're able to do. And a nice little loot pick up there from Trashy. Yeah,
Trashy gets to get his teammate's card, gets to secure the loot before Taco and Golden decide they want it. On over to the other side, though, this fight over at the Coney Crossroads has been extended once again here. Tabney and Death. Last game we're in 25th place, now on up into that 19th. We talked about how those standings are getting closer and closer. Take a look at who's now in the conversation for a potential top 10. It's the young Tabney and Elite Death. And you know what's really cool about this team is that they've really earned the professional player community's respect. And I think after today, they're going to earn a little bit more strikes, but they have to put up consistently. Great counter tag there. Tabney gets traded. Death has to come through and do something big now, or it's a 2v1 situation. He does have the HP lead, though. No reason for him to slow down just yet. But we all know it's scary. Face checking two. Great angle right there. Death just clutches up. Yes, he had the health advantage and everything, but it's the angles. It's playing smart and out positioning himself against Stretch and Commandment there.
And generally they say you can always depend on Death and Taxes, but might as well change it to Death and Tabney as they're able to just take them down. We're gonna swing on over. FaZe Wall Taker 33 cold. Trying to find a little bit of room here outside the fortress. Notice how they aren't landing anywhere near the actual POI. They loot out and then move back in or take some peeks, but we actually saw Byla get their train rolling a little bit more. They got the confirmation there on the Glace.
More tags are very important, but we all know, like SBG broke down, the Storm Surge data says you need about 500 or so damage to be safe. That is just going to be an early game elimination more often than not. Early game Elans, players are not fully healthy, right? They don't have that much.
So while we did see the confirmation come through from Byla, it was not his knock. And now not forget, in competitive Fortnite, to get the points, the 3 points for the elimination, you have to be the one to knock the play.
That is right. So he finished a down body, which means the total effective HP even available from that, definitely less than 100. So chances are he didn't really gain much from that, but it's a little something to be, look forward to, be happy about, especially if you got the siphon material as well. That's always something to kind of add in there.
And one of the things to note, while Peterbot and Byla have slowed down, their train still left the station way before everyone else.
Long ago.
And with only 3 games left, they can start to kind of look at that maybe 60-point lead and be like, hey, one more good game puts this almost out of touching distance for everyone else.
Not almost. I think it does.
I mean, we've seen 60-plus point games, right? So theoretically, there's a chance. Are you saying there's a chance? Well, yes, but just as much as where that saying comes from.
Exactly. There's a chance. We'll see how it works out. What FNCS finals we have had unfold for us. Exciting things on the horizon to look forward to as well. What a time to be alive. But let's take a look at Blake here and Lawrence, who have been at the Condo Canyon. No easy drop spot for them, but notice today has been a very different pace. They've said, hey, let's go into day 2. We don't need a fight at the Condo Canyon. It was not worth it yesterday, right? Where they were well within that top 3, top 5 conversation. 2 games later, they fell. They pretty much got stopped dead in their tracks because you had that energy duo, Clicks, Day, rotating south saying, hey, we want a piece of this fight, and that was the difference.
Right now we're gonna swing on over. Polarized and Nico still continuing to try and take shots, but Polarized, instead of taking them, is catching them. It's Muzz and Avery on the opposite side. Avery gonna be the one who gets the knock. Muzz, the player from down under, trying to push through the PSG TNA player on the wall, getting the spray down. Nico making sure he tops himself off with the splashes because he knows this is going to be a tough 1v2 to win out. But with the way he's been playing, you can already see extending the space, giving himself some more options, trying to not get trapped. But you got lurkers all over the place. Av is looking down. Scaring Walkers are trying to get a piece of the pie over here, saying, this apple tastes good. What can we get? Some Harpoon coming out, going to get the wall replaced. Maybe looking to even try and pull Nico out, but Nico says, put that away. Get a real weapon out and fight me.
Our team, of course, starting to slide in, though. They're looking in. That Walkers and Scarebird duel there, like you mentioned, they started the day off 7th place. They fall into 25th, but it shows you how much room there is for them to jump back in here. We still have a couple of games in front of us, so there's a lot of opportunity, but it also allows us to understand that the points are close.
And I know if you're watching at home, we've been focusing a ton on the top of the table because this is the finals. At the end of the day, whoever is in first place, 130K, Acts of Champions 2.0, all the impressions, the clout that comes with it. But if you're not in that top 3, because they picked up so many of the points, there's so much room for dramatics. There's so much room for placements to change, for money to be made. And that's why every single one of these fights that happens is so significant.
Yeah, definitely, and let's not just forget all the other prizing that everyone else wants to take a stab at. And then, of course, I keep calling them the new era, the new wave of players that are here, but we have to talk about them as well. We know season to season, where you place allows you to possibly level up, try new duos, earn respect in the space, which can make the difference.
Yeah, you got to get your name out there. And don't forget, you talk about the new era, but the new era, the names who we haven't seen before. NA East is the most veteran region when it comes to this finals. And what I mean by that is the duos who are playing in here combined have I think it was 475 finals appearances between all of them, which is a bonkers, absolutely bonkers number. But we're still seeing the ones who are a little bit newer end up picking up the pace. And actually, Peterbot got a knock on the Sonetto there, so maybe as Byla's able to get it, that's 3 points they desperately need.
That's 2 elims now for Byla there to get the full finish on 2. That's 6 points potentially going nowhere. No, actually, just 3.
Yeah, because of the first one,
of them was knocked.
Yep.
True that, but it's still going to translate well on the scoring there as they get the full finish, so 3 more points for them, slowly but surely, riding their way to victory. But here's a little bit of a sneaky play. How long is the NRG duo here willing to wait for this one? It does seem like forever. Threats and Rise are waiting it out too, though. They're not looking to play their hand too soon.
And it's such an interesting dichotomy to me between Clicks and Day's approach to these fights, because we see the patience they have in so many of these circumstances where they sneak up and they try and get those first shots. But it seems like that patience almost goes right out the window as soon as they commit to the fight. And if they can get a little bit more of a balance, I'd expect them to have a more complete game plan. However, when it all goes right, it goes very right. But we're gonna hop back on board because Peterbot and Byla, they got something going for what feels like the first time in a while.
Yeah, here we have finally now a good start for Byla and Peterbot. I like what they did here, though. They stood their ground. They stood at the collider, almost like their past game.
And they're potentially looking to catch some of the teams who rotate out from that northwest corner because they know they like to go late. But we did see the zone revealed on the left-hand side. One thing about this zone in particular, and we've talked about, when the zone pulls south like this, the hoodoos, or those large rocks that are smaller at the bottom in the desert, fun little vocab word for you there, are such a power position because building up onto them, you have to build from basically a line of sight where the people on top can already shoot down. So all the teams on the northern part of the zone, if you're rotating late, good luck.
Yeah, definitely good luck. And
that's a lot of the lobby.
Threats and Rise right now, who seem to have gotten punished here as the NRG boys swing the fight way around here. But you have a team now sneaking up. They see the builds. They see they're fresh. So they're looking in. They're curious. Hey, what's going on over here? Can we get involved? Can we find a chance to open up? Remember, fresh builds are going to attract the sharks in the water. These sharks are hungry in these finals lobbies here. No big tags, nothing substantial being traded just yet.
And again, we've talked about how the veterans have come through, but we've also seen 7 different players pick up their first victory royale in the finals here with Pamsto and Thatch. They've been around forever. It's the first time they've won a game coming through, but right now we got Clicks and Day, Rise and Threats, and we still have another team trying to come right over the top. That's Blake and Lawrence, as we see Shawnee get a knock onto Spade there. Don't forget, Spade and Chimp, they were second in the last FNCS. No slouches themselves, but Shawnee and Polo, the newcomers, say make a little bit of room.
Make some room, give us space as they continue to pop off here. Blake and Lawrence, though, this is their drop. They slide on in here. They understand this place very, very well. They try to take advantage with the sneak attack there, but they get outed, they get spotted, and they have to disengage now, give a little more room. Shots trade, back and forth. Nothing good comes from it, and Blake calls for the disengage. Let's back up here, give us some room. Let's wait this one out. We need to get to the zone.
And this is another prime example of what I talked about with Peterbot last time, with how they're rotating around and they're using the natural line of sight to break it. And brilliant shots from Blake. You see him calm that immediately. He's like, yeah, shield broken. We're good on Surge now. As that puts them pretty much 103 above. They were under, straight up with that.
That's actually huge right there. And a big setback for the NRG boys on the other side. So goes Blake and Lawrence now get to continue to play this one out a little bit more comfortably. They're not completely safe just yet. Pamsto and Thatch are not safe either. 3 damage below. They have a team that is trying to rotate and actually in a box fight between one another. These are fresh builds, but not putting that extra pressure. This could backfire if they don't take advantage of the fight.
But they are one of the few teams who's actually in the safe zone right now. So the zone will need to full close before Surge turns on, and they're going to have plenty of shots as they're on that northeast part. So like I said, everyone who's on the north going to have a hard time rotating, as we see Polo and Shawnee keeping it going. They end up finding yet another one. Jamper gets a knock onto Pledge. However, Haji turns the script a little bit on the Capilot duo there, with Shawnee being taken down. But now Pamstu trying to find some shots here, but building with hard metal right off the start. If you're not able to continually keep the pressure, and in particular, the Striker Burst really isn't that strong against metal builds.
Yeah, definitely starts to fizzle out once that HP pool starts to heal on up. Thatch and Pam have, however, found a couple tags, enough to get them above the Surge for now. But these opportunities that are presenting themselves, you cannot miss those shots, and they know that. Oh, nice job there to find a couple of extra. So at least it starts to add up. Meanwhile, Jeff and Oliver OG in a battle against TK. This is not looking good. In the feed, though, Blake goes down to the hands of NRG's Clicks. Also, Wall Taker takes out Nico as well. That's just at that bridge. As you can see, teams have to rotate south here. And for the first time in a while, they have to come south and center as well. So it's not a zone they've played very much today. This weekend has definitely given us a nice variety, but for Jeff now, he's got to pop off here. I like the movement. Great reset on the edit there. He's going to start to back up, but the shots have to connect in order for them to stay in this game here.
Yeah, they're going to get back down here as the 25 damage every 5 seconds is going to come through. Clicks ends up picking up Spare with that duo as Lawrence goes down Stair, getting on the board here with Mason. But right now, Oliver OG, Jeff, wall to wall. On the opposite side, you have Playify trying to just disengage TK. Also trying to sweep around the side. They recognize that this duo is underneath the Surge, and as soon as they get the tag, they're going to back up saying, we're good, we'll let Surge finish you off. You can burn through your resources because we know as long as we fight defensively, that's going to be points on the board.
Exactly. The most important thing for them to do is wait and then counter-strike, and they do it just like that. As I was trying to set that call up, Oliver OG just gets blasted, and down he goes. Playify and TK will take full advantage of the chance here. They have the Surge tags they need. They get the refresher as well, as that team did not pause to heal, so plenty being rewarded from that battle. Meanwhile, Sphinx and DeQuinton in the distance are also in the Surge there in a fight on their own. So a lot of battles being broken out there. Great team unison as TK and Playify hop in, secure the loot, and it's looking good for them.
That was a fantastic defensive fight from TK and Playify, recognizing that the opposing duo was under the Storm Surge, using the audio cues and the shield break to be able to then capitalize and find an angle to be able to take him out. Right now, current 4th place duo trying to push just above that 200 point mark, sitting at 199. We're only 31 above, and there's only one duo is being hit by it right now. Sphinx is taken out by Mars.
That's one down. One more needs to go down in order for the Surge to turn off. But if that one finds a couple tags, I think Thatch and Pam are the next up to start getting targeted by a Surge. They are a little too close to that border there. Now skating across, trying to get to that new safe zone. The pockets of play are starting to really build up on these outskirts for Peterbot and Bila. They have gotten here early. 2 elims already are going to set them up for success here. Launchpad in the inventory again. Fighting for it at the Collider has been the difference these last 2 games.
And Surge has turned off. We have 70 players, but important to note too, we have 35 duos. Not a single solo is up right now. Everybody has a buddy, so no riders coming through. And right now we're gonna kick it on over to SBG. Show us what you got.
Y'all just saw Peterbot and Byler were over Surge for the first time in a while. They're not worried about it. So were all of our top 3 teams, Booga, Miro, Walltaker, and Cold. All of them in a really good position, and that's why we didn't have to worry about them in this Surge.
So much SBG, and there's a reason these 3 have not moved from the top of the table. When it comes to complete gameplay so far, they have been the most consistent, finding the elims. But I also have to give a little bit of a shout out there to Pamsu and Bash, because they have significantly less elims than almost all of these teams. They don't kind of hit that same high mark when it ends up coming through, but they capitalize on their opportunities, and they're more than happy to just play for the placement and pick up those points.
Yeah, and you know what? Today has been a true showing of what they're capable of, really just jumping their way on up. They're on the rocket ship onto the top, and they're in that 4th place spot, honestly, on the heels of 3rd and 2nd.
I mean, you say today is showing what they're capable of. Don't forget, they won game 1 yesterday, right? They came shooting out of the barrel, but like we talked about, after winning game 1 yesterday, they were still in 3rd place, as we see Fatch saying, Sundown, what do you mean we can't get Elam? Shonyi goes down, Hide and Seek finds Polo as well, and that duo is eliminated.
That's huge for Hide and Seek, but Hide and Seek gets traded there in the process, and so does Nets, so they're down and out. After again fighting their way into the top 10, they get taken out here. So it's a bit of a very rocky back and forth fight between them. But let's see how it all unfolded. It's because of the momentum push from Thatch and Pam still here, putting in their 2 cents into that pocket, forcing that engagement to happen between all of them, and they reap the rewards of the fight. They didn't, however, get all the loot, but they got some of it, which is so important.
And you can see how the zone now has pulled back over to the east. We have 1, 2, 3, about 4 natural high grounds all around the edge. That's very important in the 4th zone, because the 5th is going to be that half in, half out. The safe zone is no longer completely concentric, and that means you want to be piling in around the outside to try and maximize your chances of pulling half in, half out. Right now, 5th and 6th right on top of each other. Adris and Kanata right next to Joji and Rokane, but they're all looking outwards, waiting for people to come in.
He absolutely needs to get active right now. They need just a couple more tags to buy themselves some room here. Jamper, who's in 9th place alongside Duke, gets tagged there in the process. They might just look to fully commit here, but will they do it is the real question, because that's going to put the tournament on the line here. The walls are weak, though. There's a chance here.
Walltaker ended up getting an elimination there onto Golden, so they're continuing to try and close the gap for Kanata. Adris trying to find some room. Degen, Death end up finding one, and Degen and Yamzo, they're on the opposite side. They continue to creep their way up. That's Adam. That's his pick, trying to make a way in the conversation here, but immediately open up the edit and the spray comes back. That's Walltaker and Cold trying to punish this team, saying, what you doing, open it up, as we see Scare finally getting their day 2 rolling as Duke and Jamper go down.
Now, Kanata has 400 light ammunition, plenty to work with, but on the side here, looks like Miro and Booga have found some success. They found a couple elims that's going to set them up right now, but they're inside the storm.
And a couple of elims were on to Clicks and Day, who we know always carry just a ton of extra utility because of the amount of chip they get. And we're going to take a look to see what those elims were.
Let's take a look at how it went down. Oh my gosh, that high fire rate shotgun comes through and just shreds things to pieces. And that's how they find the loot. That's how they get an additional launch pad to work with. But meanwhile, 4th place is down. We have Pam still being hurt here. Big incoming fire from the lobby as well. I don't think it's going to alleviate at all, and this might be it. Thatch is down, Pamstu is out, and 4th place is wrapped up.
And that is exactly why I talked about the priority positioning on top of the rocks or the hoodoos there. It makes it so difficult if you are one of the other teams. If you build up even a little bit, it gives them a prime line of sight. You basically have to tuck in underneath, but then you don't have anybody to shoot at. As now, we don't have a 5th zone Storm Surge. We're at 50 players. We're at 25 duos. Everybody has a buddy here going into our game 10. We'll have 2 more games after this, but right now the question is, can Peterbot and Byla ice it? If they're able to make it into the end game, we could be talking about the dub being secured right here, right now.
Definitely a possibility. And just like that, with every team that falls, there is only 2 more chances. This is game 10. It's the final stretch now. If you're inside that top 10, you have to dig deep. If you're cold and scented, most importantly here, you have to pop off. These are your chances. It's going to come down to the eliminations. If they want a chance at first, they have to close that gap quite literally in any way possible. Because like we said, placement points are not going to be enough when you have that #1 team being so consistent. And here it is. Bizzle getting pressured now. There's an opportunity here. Not enough aggression from the other side. They take advantage of the storm and an excellent play to catch him up. A beautiful cone there. The right camera peek, I love it. It's textbook, and they catch 2 for their efforts. Nicely done there. And just like that, 6 more points. Placement as well. All get divvied out.
And they have priority on the zone. Granted, they are on low gun, and it's going to be a little bit of a tough maneuver around it, but everyone has to go past them, which is, it puts them in a great spot. But speaking of a great spot, Muzz and Avery just looking down on everyone. If you have height in these zones, it tends to be the fact players don't really have an opportunity to look up and retake. And Walltaker gets another one, some phase-on-phase crime there. As Mega goes down, Colt's going to get the confirmation. They continue racking up the points.
In just a couple of seconds, they have earned so many points. These are those big games we were hyping up and we're talking about that can definitely happen. Then this is why you cannot count out players that are inside the top 3. Peterbot takes a huge shot there, though. If he goes down again outside that top 20, there's going to be more and more opportunity for Booga, for Miro, for Scented, for Cole to start to hop back up and take hold of that #1 spot.
And we saw Miro yesterday in game #1. Booga went down, and then he picked up basically every possible solo in Elam at the last final minute. But now we're going to swing on over as Kanata ends up taking down Walltaker. He's going to find that one, and that is massive as it puts Cold as a solo and on doing a lot of the work. Typically, we see Cold is the one who's having a bunch of those elims because, like his name suggests, he's the one who's pressuring the wall while Cold does all the cleanup. But instead, great level change, dropping all the way down, recognizing the fact that he has the utility. If he can just find a little bit of breathing space, but nobody wants to give it to him, might end up playing the backside of the zone, tries to find a short pad, but everyone's already built it up. But instead, he finds a 158 insta-knock. Cold, that was gross!
Onto Voyal there in a big exchange. More points for him, and he is fighting his way into this game now. And talk about, you really get to see how good he is, how mechanically skilled this player is, the way that he managed to not only escape that play, but now stay alive and continue to fight for more. Meanwhile, on high ground, it's Muzz battling it out, just trying to hold on to dear life there, but Cold is the man of the hour. This is a solo. What can he do? He gets taken out just inside the top 15.
Now all my eyes are on the lower part of the screen. Booga and Miro there, but Avery and Muzz have gone from 12th to 8th on just this one. They're trying to put a stamp on it. Don't forget about Muzz, the OCE transplant. He won an FNCS and NE, the only one to come across, and he's trying to win it here now, trying to push through, put his name in the hat with the final 2 games left, trying to find a little bit of daylight, getting wall to wall, dropping down. He has no builds. It's all going to be about how well he moves.
Kanata and Angers end up on height. How in the world did this happen here? And not only that, their competition is down. Their competition is out. This could be a chance to go ahead and snatch up 3rd, but Booga is still alive here. He's still working this low ground right now. 254. He is closing that gap onto that #1 spot. Give him some more points here. He is so hurt. The siphon was not enough to keep him alive, but a top 6 is not bad. Talk about a hero's effort to clutch up. Now, the story's on to Acorn and Edgy, who managed to find their way into 15th place. A comeback story here on day 2 for not only Kanata and Angers, but Edgy and Acorn as well. They've been playing this low ground. They're a flexible team. They do it well.
You can see still up on the high ground. Angers, Kanata raining down shots, walkers and scares, trying to get their day 2 rolling as they make an end game here. Top 5, and they're one of the duos who is still up. We have a couple solo riders around, but Acorn trying to be as strong as an oak here, finding shots around the outside, some splashes from the team, and only 3 builds, but the control from the low ground. He finds Melito on the backside, still looking for more Elans as they add 4 onto the title, and they're into the top 4.
Your Kanatas and Angels on high ground, though. You do not want to let these elims get away from you. Basically, this is why Kanata's hopping in. That's why D-Roll is down. Now Walkers is down, so Kanata's already found 2, and they're putting in their 2 cents into this conversation. There goes the finish. It's a 2v2, 4th versus 5th. This is a leaderboard implication battle right now, and Angers has the advantage. Kanata jumps down. He's bold. He's willing to risk it all right now for the highlights. The play comes through. A pre-shot onto Edgy. That's a huge one. Kanata with the the angle. He's so quick, you can't even see him, and it's all over.
Agers, Kanata take away game number 10, and all of a sudden, with 2 games left, a little bit of stall on that front train. They ran off the tracks trying to get the wheels back on, but everyone else, they see the daylight at the top and they start reaching it right now. Agers, Kanata trying to push through it. I mean, just a brilliant use of the duel. They're taking 2 separate 1v1s and like, you got yours? Yeah, I got mine. Sick.
And
nice
that's what